Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I have the opportunity to work on a reel. It's an Eagle Claw reel. It's the Eagle Claw 540 HD. This was sent into my shop because the fellow had worked on the reel and was unable to reinstall the anti-reverse dog. So, well, the anti-reverse dog is pretty well chewed up, but you're not going to find a replacement for that. But let's take it apart. Let's see if we can help them out. In the process, we're going to learn what one of these is and, well, how to service it should you have one. And my guess, looking at this reel, is that it's made by Olympic. It has very much the same formats and sides to it, and made in Japan, probably the 1980s. And a lot of it, well, a lot of it kind of mimics the Penn reel design. You can see the kind of torpedo handle that a Penn would have, and the counterweight, even though it's larger. The inner squared mount is different from a Penn. Penn uses more of a rectangular one. But we're going to take this reel apart and look over and see if we can't help out our viewer. This one is Donald. And well, see what goes on there. Whole bunch of Phillips head screwdrivers type screws. We're going to take them all out. While I do that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. We just passed 29,000 subscribers, and I want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed, and welcome anybody who has yet to subscribe. I do encourage you to subscribe and to use the notification button so that you can see when I'm posting and, well, learn from the experiences. I'm trying to teach you how to do it yourself, and in the process, of course, I'm working on the reels in my shop. So there's always something exciting going on. Every video is different, or at least I hope it is. And, well, we just try to pass as much along as I can. I'm taking all these screws out and I'm laying them on my table. I want to make sure that all of these screws are the same. Now when you go to look for a anti-reverse dog, there's a couple of principles that are going into place. The first one is, where is it going to intersect on the gear sleeve? This is the gear sleeve. And what direction is it going to go? And then you need to find a logical point at which the spring mechanism will mount. Sometimes it's a cavity, sometimes it's on a post. I don't know, and I didn't have a schematic for this reel, so we're a little bit flying blind here. There are two screws that are shorter than the others. Those two screws go in the reel seat below. I'm going to take those and put those into a parts tray. I organize my work in a fast food container. It has a lot of corners to it, and that enables me to put the pieces in by sub-assembly. I recommend that you do the same. Well, I'm counting here that this is a very close copy of a way that a Penn reel looks. So in my estimation, the anti-reverse dog is going to go on this post down here. We have the dog and we have a spring, and I guess we're about to find out the rest of it. There are 4 flathead screws that attach here. We're going to take those off. Dan did say that, I'm sorry, Donald did say that he serviced the reel. It looks like it. It's nice and clean inside. And, well, just had some trouble getting the dog back in. I can understand that. First reel I really cut my teeth on, if you will, was a Penn 85 Seaboy. And I sat at a kitchen table at the time for hours trying to figure out how in the world do you put that anti-reverse, and eventually I read the manual, right? The Penn manual that they include with the reel tells you how to do it, and from then on it's kind of been second nature. All right, the 4 screws are out. We can remove the bridge, the yoke, and here's what we want to find out. Okay, so what we're looking for here, I can see it, but I'll try to explain it to you. We'll rebuild this reel completely on this side, and we'll show you how that goes. But with this off, I can tell where it seats and how. Okay, all those pieces are a little bit of a mess. This is the cavity I was referring to. We're going to have a screw that's going to mount in here. I should have got the dog out first. It was good that he included them and put these into a little bag so that they didn't get lost. A lot of times I get reel in the bag projects pieces, and the pieces stay all over the place inside the box, and it becomes difficult. All right, so we're going to have this come in like this. The anti-reverse dog is going to mount like this, and the spring is going to mount top point onto the point here, right there, and bottom is going to rest in this cavity. It's a little bit reverse of the way that the Penn one works, but that's okay. All right, we're going to make sure that we lubricate this up. I'm going to use some fishing reel grease to get onto that bearing, a little bit onto the eccentric. I can let that go for now. Let's check those drag washers. These drag washers could stand a little bit of lubrication. So let's go ahead and put a glove on and do just that. And my bet is if this side needs it, then the other side probably needs it too. So I use a glove as a tool when I go to grease those drag washers. I'll use some Towels Universal Dry Grease, but if you don't have that, don't worry. I'm going to dip the drag washer into the grease. I'm going to take that glove and wipe it in. The biggest thing that you want to accomplish with the dry grease is to make sure that it gets into all of the spaces on that washer. These are permeable washers. They dry out and crack if you don't keep them lubricated. And well, that's kind of the name of the game here. All right, we're just going to grease up the main gear, put that on because it's easier to do the drag assembly this way. This is a traditional 6 drag washer set. We have 2 that are rectangular. They go high and low, and they're interspersed with these drag washers. So this is number 2 on the drag washers. There's one drag washer here that has 2 ears on it, or points. That one goes in the middle, and it fits into the cavity of the main gear. This is the last one of that. Now, Penn typically has a cap washer. This one has one too. Place that on. I think that cap washer was probably in the wrong position. I think that was outside the star adjuster when we took the reel off, but it belongs on the inside. And so who is Eagle Claw? Eagle Claw was founded by Wright and McGill out in Colorado, and had a lot of reels made for them. I'm wondering why that didn't come off. We want to make sure that we get some grease in this channel as well. I can put that dry grease away, grab the brush, make sure I get a nice amount of grease in there, put the channel in and get some grease onto the stud. That'll take care of that assembly. And we got one more set here. We've got the yoke. I'm going to grease the yoke. I use a artist's brush as my grease brush because the hairs don't tend to fall off. And check the teeth as you're doing this, but get grease into the teeth once you're convinced that there's nothing broken, chipped, cracked, or otherwise. And well, let's show you that reassembly again. One spring goes in each one of the cavities, left and right. The yoke with the slot facing towards you goes on next. You press that down. The jack goes next. That hooks around the eccentric, and the indentation here goes on that stud. And then we're just going to trust that this goes like the Penn assembly does. And I want to just spend a minute here with that spring. I don't want to lose that. I'm trying to notice if that has a tag or if it's a little bit of a bend. It looks like it's a little bit of a bend. So I'm going to see if I can't put it in this way. Well, I guess I can't. So what we're going to do here, going to insert our gear upside down, if you will, and turn it so that it is basically 90 degrees from where it needs to be. Take one of those side plate screws and place that in. This is going to go up and behind. And I think this is kind of an odd one, but it's going to go on that post like that. Then we're going to compress that spring. I'm going to try and do that without shooting it anywhere. Maybe easier said than done. And there's a spring, it will shoot. But we do need to get that into that cavity there. This is a good time to tell you to be patient. Because if you're not patient, things will fly. Okay, I think I can release, and I think we're good here in terms of how that works. That's the loaded spring. And before you get too much further along, rotate that bridge over so that you can trap that spring with the bridge plate. Once you do that, give it a turn just to make sure that the screw is setting on that. And then we can go about setting the other 3 screws. When I do that, I like to go high-low, kind of a back and forth motion. Sure I have a clear channel getting that through. Now the other 2 should be relatively easy. Again, I go on an X pattern to keep equal torsion on that bridge. Just want to make sure that they get caught where they belong. And then I'll come back and just tighten them up the rest of the way. Starting with that, kind of just work it in reverse. Okay, with any luck, we've got that done. Turn your reel, make sure that it turns. The last part that you want to grease there is the top shoulder of that jack, which you can't kind of do when you have to put that bridge on. All right, I think we're good there. We have the back plate here. I want to align those. We've already put grease onto the stud on the spool. We'll bring this over and in. And now we can bring those screws back. The 5 big screws go into the cross posts. I think I just want to get one to get started here. And while I'm doing that, I want to encourage you to ask questions. Maybe you're working on a reel, maybe you want to know a little bit more about the period of Japanese fishing reel manufacture. Maybe you're stuck on something and you need a little help or advice. Leave them in the comment section. I do try to answer those for you. This is a shorter screw that goes below into that reel seat. As I mentioned, you have 2 short screws there. And once I have the top and the 2 bottom pivot screws, well, I can generally take the tension off of my hand here, because that slide plate shouldn't move any longer. And we'll bring the rest together. Lots of screws. So we kind of took a quick look there, made sure that the gears were okay. We re-lubricated the drag washers, saw that the reel itself was clean. We didn't have to do any cleaning on that one. And then we tried to kind of logic out how does that anti-reverse dog go. I was afraid that this one was going to be one of the other Olympics. Some of those Olympic dolphin reels get really crazy with that anti-reverse dog spring. First of all, it's a very fine spring. It almost looks like a hair, and it's very difficult to set that one. In this case, we have a more traditional coil spring that loads in a cavity approach. Okay, here we go, one more. I'm going to put that last part back together again, and we'll see how we did. This is a nice reel. This is going to be used for trolling or deep drop fishing. And deep drop fishing usually is in the ocean, but you can use this in Great Lakes or deep lakes, and it'll perform just as well anywhere where you're fishing in deep water. I'll try and get the star adjuster on now. I'm checking because it needs to go on square. This one isn't going on square yet. It will. And when it gets on there, you're going to know, simply because it will turn easy. All right, we're going to bring this around. And then I believe, and I don't have the schematic here, I believe that this goes between the two, kind of as a buffer, so that you don't over tighten it. If you go to loosen your drag, you don't trap the handle in here. Handle is up next. Now, we didn't take that gear sleeve off, so I'm going to put a drop of oil into the gear sleeve. I'm going to take the handle screw now, put that on. The Penn reel handle wrench works with this one. I guess if you say that copying somebody is a compliment, then I guess that's another form of flattery there. Let's put this back on. Tighten that down, and we'll see how we did. All right, we should be in free spool at the moment. Let's turn this. It turns nice and easy. Now, if you want to adjust your spool, it's on this side. It's the adjuster. That one's working fine. Put it into gear. Oh, listen to that. That tells you have an anti-reverse. So we're all set and ready to go. Well, there you go. That's the Eagle Claw number 540 HD fishing reel. You had an inside look on this. You saw how to assemble it, how to service it, and well, how to keep it fishing for a long time to come. I hope you've enjoyed it. I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue, and EMTs, and all that are dedicated to public service. And I want to thank everybody for making this channel a success that it is. We recently surpassed 29,000 viewers. Thanks to each and every one of you, our long-term viewers, as well as the folks that have just joined. And if you haven't joined, I want to encourage you one more time to subscribe. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.